So the Dell Pro AI Studio, tell us about what that is. It's a specific implementation, as far as I know, of an AIPC that incorporates neural processing units, NPUs. But tell us more about it. Tell us why they were developed. Tell us why they could be helpful to our listeners.
So very important to note, Dell Pro AI Studio is a toolkit. So think of it as an SDK, but it's got an array of tools, models, a framework, actually frameworks, and recipes, right? So it's the tools and how to use them. So I get asked this question very commonly, right? It's not an app that's going to be shipped on the Dell AI PC from the factory. It is targeted towards developers and IT pros that want to build, deploy, and manage apps with AI features on their fleet or subset of their AI PC fleet, right? So that's what it's for. So when I say toolkit, what is it? So it's got three parts to it. If I really boil it down at a high level, at least our initial release will have three parts, and each of them solves a problem or a pain point that we heard from our customers as well as experienced ourselves as we tried to bring workloads to the AIPC for inference time. So one, we have Dell validated models. So we have curated or hand selected a range of open permissive models that cover a variety of use cases from language, speech, and vision to enable a variety of use cases, right? So, well, you can get those from Hugging Face, you'd argue. And the answer is yes, you're right. They're actually going to be available on Dell Enterprise Hub, which is on Hugging Face. We already have that capability today, and models for enterprise today that are targeted to run in containers for training, fine tuning on servers, on Dell servers. So we already have that. We're going to add the models that run on AIPCs right alongside those server models, if you will. These would be smaller models, right? Think for a language model, I'd say today's NPUs, perhaps the most you can, fit. And I say fit, it's a loosely used term. I'd say get the performance that you think would be acceptable for the average user would be around 15 to 20 tokens per second, right? So to get that target LLM output, I'd say you would probably not be able to go beyond like an 8 or 9 billion parameter model with quantization, right? So, but that's still pretty darn good. Today, those models are extremely capable, right? And so this inflection of NPUs getting more performant with 40 and plus stops on the NPU, and these smaller LMs getting way more performant and accurate, that inflection point has really enabled local inferencing on the device, right? So that's what we wanted to democratize for customers.
Nice. So I'm going to repeat that back because it seems like a really important point that this paradigm that we're talking about today of having NPUs running locally or on the edge, same kind of idea, on an AI PC, that's at the time of recording in early 2025, that's ideally suited to kind of a 7-8 billion parameter model. Okay, perfect. And so 7-8 billion parameter model, yeah, absolutely. Like if you're using a Llama 7B model, they are hugely capable today. And you're saying that it will pump out 15 to 20 tokens per second, which corresponds to about 10, 15 words per second, much faster than somebody can read. And so, yes, absolutely. That sounds like a sweet spot. Perfect.
Yep, you got it. So I kind of went on a tangent there, but I was talking about the elements of Dell Pro AI Studio. So back to the Dell validated models. We realized one of the key pain points was for anyone trying to build AI features that run locally on the device. They either have a model that they've picked out and they don't know what system it can run on, or they have a system in their fleet and now they want to use it and they will figure out, okay, what kind of model can I run on this? That's typically the way that I'm seeing customers approach this, right? And we'll get to like custom and fine tuning later. Let's keep it simple for now. But let's just say you're using a base open permissive model. And if you're a developer, you're going to have to kind of iterate. You're going to take a model and a system, and you're going to figure out whether they can actually coexist. Can it run? Can it give the performance I need? Is it going to give me that 15, 20 tokens per second performance? How big does the model need to be? I mean, let me try a 14 billion parameter model. Let me try a 30 billion parameter model. You quickly realize, oh, I don't have enough memory. Let me go to 32 gigs. Let's try again. Oh, it runs now, but oh God, it's like 2 tokens per second. That's not going to work. But remember, believe it or not, every iteration takes a lot of work for them to get to that point. And that's insane, right? Anyone faint of the heart is going to say, okay, this is too much work. I don't think I'm ready to build for the NPU quite yet, right? So it's a huge deterrent today. So by solving that problem and having models and systems paired up, like, hey, here's the performance you're going to get. It's been fully tested by Dell. It's fully compatible to the silicon and a variety of silicon, right? It doesn't matter what SoC you got. If it's a Dell system with this specification, you are good to go. And all of these use cases are enabled by this curated set of models. So big pain point. It seems trivial, but it's a big pain point that we've solved with that set of models on Dell Enterprise Hub. The second element of Dell Pro AI Studio is its enterprise readiness, which is massive, right? Today you have plenty of developer POCs. There are apps out there. I won't name them, but there are some really good apps, and people who want to test and see what running a model locally on the device and chatting with it looks like. And I encourage people to go find those apps. And those apps are great for bringing a model, running it locally, and chatting with it. But that's it. It's a POC. But what do you want if you're an enterprise? You want to be able to turn that into value for your end users. You want to drive productivity. You want outcomes. So you've got to test. You got to figure out how you're going to use it, right? In an actual example that is going to make your users productive, like the ones we talked about. Like the manufacturing anomaly detection, and there's several others I can give you for the average knowledge worker. If you really want to now take that capability and deploy it across a fleet and control it completely end to end, including the data that goes in and out of those apps, that app has to be enterprise ready, which means your model's got to be enterprise ready. It's got to have it has to be a testable, so that you're not, injecting risk into your enterprise. And then you have to be able to control it through its entire life cycle. That's what enterprise ready means, right? And then you've got to, as an IT pro, you want to be able to manage every aspect of it. Who has permission? What models get deprecated, updated? How is it being used? How are the apps being used? What's the telemetry? None of that exists today. So that's the other piece. Via Dell Management Portal, you have that enterprise ready capability where every element of your solution that uses the Dell Pro AI Studio is ready for the enterprise, is ready to be embedded into your workflows, and your data is completely in your control, right? That's the part two. Part three is our middleware, right? It's the framework that runs on every device that will be in the fleet where these AI apps are deployed. And it does all of the cool stuff, right? Model operations are automated through this. System and model discovery is automated through it. So it can detect the silicon on the device. It knows the app. It knows the model that the developer intended for that silicon. It pulls that from the registry, and it slots it in. It can slot in, slot out. Load, unload, secure it by verifying attestation. All that stuff, right? Which is, if you're a developer, you would have to build that into your app. And that's not trivial, right? You're talking about multiple libraries of code with hundreds and hundreds of lines of code that you got to write, debug, test, and manage, right? And at the end of it, if you have a change in your features, if you want a new model, you got to spin a whole new version of that app. Quickly becomes very unsustainable, right? If you're an enterprise grade developer or IT pro, you just can't sustain that over the long term. So that enterprise grade capability that is enabled through Dell Management Portal and that AI framework on the box is pretty special.
Nice. So what I'm hearing is that with the Dell Pro AI Studio, you're allowing your users, developers, data scientists of AI applications to be able to dramatically accelerate their timeline from proof of concept to enterprise application.
Yes, accelerate and simplify, right? And in fact, for lifecycle management, it's a big enable because it doesn't exist today for the PC.